Welcome to the deep dive. If you're like most people, you probably want the secrets to a perfectly curated, peaceful home.
Oh, absolutely. Who doesn't want that?
Right. But, you simply do not have the time to sit down and read some dense manual on interior psychology or all the intricacies of hospitality.
Yeah, that's a huge time commitment.
Exactly. So today, we are your shortcut. I want you to imagine your home not as this exhausting, endless to-do list of chores, but actually as a sanctuary.
A sanctuary. I love that word for this.
Yeah, like a place of honor, of beauty, and of love. Because our mission today is to completely rethink our relationship with cleaning and organizing. We're talking about transforming it from a dreaded obligation into an act of purposeful living.
And we are drawing on a highly specific, very elegant framework for this today. We're diving into a book called Impressions of Gold: The Secret to Hospitality and Home Elegance.
Such a great title.
It really is. It's written by Reverend Dr. Antonio Arnold and Sheila Arnold. And we're also analyzing a few real-life photographs provided alongside the text, which is great because it shows these concepts actually applied in a living space.
Okay, let's unpack this because, the standard approach to cleaning for most of us is basically just putting out fires.
Right. The panic clean.
Yes. The company is coming over in 20 minutes, so we shove all the mail into a drawer, light a candle to hide the scent of last night's fish, and just frantically wipe down the visible surfaces.
Total crisis management.
Exactly. That is crisis management. But the approach in this book is completely different. It feels much more like architectural design for the soul.
That is the core distinction the authors make, right from the jump. Before they even attempt to tell you how to clean, they force a confrontation with why you clean.
The way. Yeah.
Yeah, we are moving from the physical act of wiping a surface to the actual psychological framework behind the space. The book presents cleanliness as this mindset rooted deeply in reverence, discipline, and hospitality.
I have to push back immediately, though.
Let's go for it.
Because in an age of Instagram-perfect homes where, everyone is showing off their hyper-organized, color-coded pantries online, isn't there a massive danger here?
A danger of what, exactly?
That this pursuit of home elegance just becomes another stressful badge of status. Like it sounds like a recipe for burning out, trying to compete with influencers.
Well, what's fascinating here is that the authors explicitly warn against falling into that exact trap.
Oh, really?
Yes. They emphasize progress, not perfection. A perfectly staged museum-like home is merely impressive, but a lovingly maintained home is transformative.
Transformative. That's a big word to use for cleaning.
It is, but they mean it. Cleaning, in their view, should be done with intention, not out of guilt or comparison to a curated social media feed. It's about stewardship and presence. You are preparing a space to foster rest and joy for guests.
Okay, so it's an internal metric, not an external one.
Exactly.
The book talks about how physical order directly reflects internal order. But I'm curious about the actual mechanism there. Like, why does a tidy counter make a difference to my stress levels?
It comes down to cognitive load. Your visual cortex is constantly processing your surroundings, whether you realize it or not.
Okay, right.
So when a kitchen counter is covered in mail, appliances, maybe some random clutter, those objects literally compete for your brain's processing power.
Wow, so it's actual visual noise.
It is visual noise.
Right.
When you clear that counter, you remove that low-level neurological demand. Tidy counters quite literally calm anxious thoughts because your brain just doesn't have to work as hard to interpret the space.
That makes so much sense.
And the same goes for an organized closet, reducing decision fatigue in the morning. By doing that, you are actively protecting your daily reservoir of mental energy.
So we've established the internal mindset. But let's look at the boundary we present to the world. The authors argue that this internal philosophy has to translate outward, starting before a guest even steps inside.
The exterior narrative.
Yes. Right. And the psychology they cite here is pretty wild. People form a lasting impression of a home in less than 7 seconds.
Less than 7 seconds. Think about that. Before you even have the chance to open your front door and say hello, your guests have absorbed a massive amount of data.
No pressure, right.
Right. They take in visual cues, scents, the general state of the surroundings. The human brain relies on heuristics, these are mental shortcuts, to quickly assess environments.
Okay, to figure out if they're safe.
Exactly. Those subconscious judgments about safety, order, and welcome are formed instantly, and they are incredibly hard to overwrite later.
So the exterior of your house is essentially like a firm handshake. It establishes trust and competence before you even start talking.
That's a great way to put it.
And I like how they compare it to the dust jacket of a book. It tells the visitor exactly what kind of story they are about to step into.
Yes.
The authors talk about curb appeal not as a vanity project, but as a battle of planning and persistence, particularly in their home state of Virginia. And they get incredibly specific about the landscaping.
They really do. They heavily advocate for using native Virginia plants. We're talking about incorporating dogwoods, azaleas, and black-eyed Susans into the landscape architecture.
So specific. Why those?
Well, the reasoning is twofold. First, native plants resist local diseases better, and they enhance environmental sustainability. But second, they anchor the home authentically to its geography.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they also emphasize the necessary rhythms of the seasons, things like scheduling aeration in the spring and ensuring proper drainage to avoid muddy patches.
Okay, but if I'm a guest pulling up to a house, I am probably not consciously analyzing their yard drainage.
True, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, a manicured lawn or a clean porch isn't about showing off your horticultural skills. It's a silent communicator.
A silent communicator.
Right. It subconsciously tells the guest that the homeowner has pride in their property and respects their surrounding community. It provides these immediate, undeniable cues of calm and order. The narrative of hospitality has begun before a single word is spoken.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked about the story you tell your community through your exterior. But how do you translate that broad outward respect into intimate, active hospitality inside?
That means moving into the spaces of creation and fellowship.
Exactly. And the book refers to the kitchen as the engine room. It's the operational hub, and it has to be ready for action. They recommend daily wipe downs, keeping the sink completely empty, and ensuring the fridge is odor-free.
And they go way beyond mere sanitation here. They talk about actively manipulating the atmosphere.
Manipulating the atmosphere, how?
Well, they suggest installing under-cabinet LEDs to eliminate dark shadows on workspaces. That actually makes the area feel larger and more inviting. And they also recommend essential oil diffusers with very specific scents, like citrus or rosemary.
Why those scents specifically?
Scent bypasses the conscious brain and goes straight to the olfactory bulb,
Okay.
which is directly tied to the limbic system, the area responsible for emotion and memory. Citrus and rosemary are neurologically stimulating. They signal cleanliness, energy, and freshness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they literally wake up the palate and the mind, which is exactly what you want in an engine room.
Which perfectly prepares everyone for the next transition, moving from the engine room to the dining room, which the authors call the stage.
The stage. It's so theatrical.
It is. This is where the physical food becomes relational fellowship. And they are uncompromising on the physical layout here. They insist on at least 36 inches of clearance around the entire dining table.
Yes, and that 36-inch rule is deeply rooted in spatial psychology and proprioception, which is our awareness of our body in space.
Right.
Because if a guest feels physically trapped between the back of their chair and a wall, it triggers a very mild subconscious fight-or-flight response.
Oh, so they can't relax.
Exactly. You cannot have a deeply relaxed, flowing conversation if someone feels physically penned in.
They also emphasize the sensory experience of lighting, like using dimmer switches and layered lighting to enrich the room's atmosphere, rather than flattening everyone out with harsh interrogational overhead bulbs.
Lighting changes everything.
It really does. But here's the concept that really gave me pause in this section. They talk about polished prestige. They highlight the prestige of polished silver, gold, and crystal. And they explicitly state that crystal should be hand-washed only, absolutely no dishwashers, and dried immediately with lint-free cloths to prevent water spots.
That's a very firm rule for them.
I mean, I hear the romanticism in curating what you have, but let's be realistic here. After hosting a dinner party for 8 people, the last thing anyone wants to do at midnight is stand at a sink buffing stemware. Is this an all-or-nothing philosophy?
It sounds incredibly demanding on the surface, especially in a modern context. But the authors framed this as a ritual of reverence, not a daily grind.
A ritual, okay.
It is about the philosophy of quality over quantity. Displaying fewer, meticulously cared-for items creates significantly more emotional impact than a cluttered shelf of neglected, cloudy glasses.
So less is more, but maintain the less.
Precisely. Polishing silver or hand-washing a crystal goblet isn't viewed as a chore. It is an extension of honoring the guest who just used it and honoring your own heritage.
So it's about intentionally choosing to own fewer things, but treating the things you do own like they actually matter.
That's exactly it.
That transitions us beautifully, because after the meal is done, the crystal is hand-washed, and the socializing winds down, We shift from the public-facing areas into the spaces of rest and rejuvenation, the sanctuaries.
Specifically, the living room and the master suite.
In the living room, they stress the creation of conversation circles. This means physically positioning furniture to force eye contact rather than having every single chair pointed at a television.
Which is so common nowadays.
Right. You anchor the space with a rug or a central coffee table to draw people inward. But the master suite is where the descriptive language gets truly grand.
Oh, definitely.
They refer to it as the throne room. Crisp sheets, symmetrical nightstands. Let's look at the photographic evidence the authors provided of these concepts in action.
Yes. The photos are highly revealing regarding how these theories look in practice. In the image of the family room, we see these deep, comfortable leather recliners.
They look so cozy.
They do. And they're arranged deliberately around a very structured, round, glass-topped coffee table, which fulfills that conversation circle requirement perfectly. The layout is open, yet intimate.
I noticed the curtains, too.
Right, there are striking red curtains framing the windows, allowing natural light to pour in while maintaining a sense of boundary. It feels lived in, but highly intentional.
And then there is the master suite photograph. It is a bold departure from the minimalist, all-white bedrooms you see everywhere on social media today.
Very bold.
The bedding is this deep, regal red. The bed itself is a large wooden frame with sweeping canopy detailing. The lamps on the symmetrical nightstands provide a balanced visual weight.
It really lives up to the throne room name.
It does. Looking at the deep reds and the heavy wood, it's like looking at a royal velvet cape. It feels intensely personal, it's unapologetic, and it is clearly curated entirely for the owners, not for any guest who might wander down the hallway.
No guest is seeing that room.
Right. There is even a humidifier visible on the nightstand, which proves that practical environmental control is integrated into their concept of luxury.
This raises an important question, though, about how the aesthetic and practical choices in our private spaces dictate our overall wellness.
How so?
The authors make a profound psychological point here. Your guests may never step foot into your master suite, but the impression that room leaves upon you, the owner, resonates throughout the entire home.
Oh, so if you wake up in chaos, you bring chaos to the kitchen.
Precisely. A cluttered bedroom bleeds anxiety into your daily living. But the elegance you maintain behind closed doors shapes the excellence you project when you walk out of them. It inspires peace, confidence, and self-respect.
You are treating yourself as the ultimate guest of honor.
I love that phrasing.
Yes. But I want to challenge how far this philosophy extends, because it is easy to feel regal in a canopy bed. But what about the purely functional utilitarian spaces, the hidden operations of the home? The bathrooms, the laundry room, the closets. Are we supposed to find sanctuary in the laundry room?
The authors argue unequivocally yes.
Really?
Yes, these spaces are just as vital to the ecosystem of the home as the dining room. In the bathroom, it requires a relentless attention to detail. Squeegee the shower after every single use to prevent hard water spots from forming.
Every single use. Wow.
Every use. Use metal-specific polish for the faucets to maintain their shine. They recommend diffusers with spa-like blends. And for a guest bathroom, you go the extra mile. You have rolled towels and a curated basket of travel-sized toiletries ready to go.
Then we get to the laundry room, which they refer to as the backbone of order.
The backbone.
The practical advice is solid. Fold clothes immediately after drying to avoid the dreaded, wrinkly laundry mountain on the chair.
We've all been there.
Right. But they also insist on transferring laundry detergent out of its original packaging and into glass jars or minimalist containers.
Yes, they do.
I have to call this out. Isn't that just adding an extra, entirely tedious step to a chore that nobody wants to do in the first place?
I hear you. On a purely functional level, yes, it is an extra step. But it goes back to what the authors call visual serenity.
Visual serenity.
Think about the neuroscience of marketing. Neon orange plastic jugs with giant, bold logos are specifically engineered by marketing agencies to grab your attention from 50 feet away in a crowded grocery aisle.
Oh, so they are shouting at you.
Exactly. They are visually loud. When you bring those into a small utility space, that visual noise raises your cortisol levels.
I never thought about it like that.
By transferring the detergent into uniform, beautiful glass jars, you silence the marketing. You lower your stress hormones. It turns a mundane, highly functional room into a boutique experience. It's the ultimate expression of their core idea stewardship in the hidden places.
Stewardship in the hidden places, that completely reframes the chore. And that boutique experience extends directly into the closets, too.
It does.
They suggest zoning your clothing by category. They advocate for using uniform velvet hangers so that all the garments sit at the exact same level, eliminating that jagged, chaotic visual line.
It makes a huge difference visually.
And they introduce a sorting ritual.
Yeah.
Keep, donate, store, tailor. Every single item in that closet must earn its place. It is either loved, given away to serve someone else, stored for the proper season, or sent to a tailor so it actually fits.
It elevates getting dressed from a frantic search for a matching shoe into an active ceremony. It creates a sense of majesty in the mundane.
Okay, so we have built this beautiful, visually serene, great-smelling ecosystem, but a beautiful home is great for exactly one afternoon.
Usually just a few hours if you have kids.
Seriously, how do you actually sustain it year-round? And how do you maintain this pristine environment without relying on a toxic soup of harsh chemicals that give everyone a migraine?
That's a vital point. The authors introduce a concept called ethical royalty.
Ethical royalty.
Yes. They rightly point out that traditional, harsh household cleaners cause neurological fatigue and pollute the immediate environment. To rule your domain ethically, you must do so responsibly.
So what's the alternative?
They provide a fantastic, highly effective DIY recipe for an all-purpose cleaner in the book. It is incredibly simple. 1 cup of water, 1 cup of white vinegar, and 15 drops of either lavender or eucalyptus essential oil.
That's it.
That's it. You mix it in a spray bottle. The vinegar acts as a natural disinfectant and degreaser, and the essential oils provide that spa-like olfactory benefit we discussed earlier.
Ethical royalty. I just love that phrasing. But beyond the chemicals, there is the sheer labor. The book outlines rhythms of maintenance: daily, weekly, monthly, and seasonal.
Right. Things like making beds daily, scrubbing weekly, polishing silver monthly. The rhythms prevent the work from piling up into an insurmountable crisis.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Amidst all this regimen, all this polishing and squeegeeing and sorting, the authors adamantly insist on scheduling Sabbath moments.
Yes. Scheduled, highly intentional rest days where you do absolutely no cleaning whatsoever.
None at all.
None. You simply sit and enjoy the home you have curated.
It makes me think of the structure of a piece of music. If a composer just writes note after note after note and the musicians play without ever taking a breath or observing a rest on the page, it just becomes an overwhelming wall of noise.
Just chaos.
Right, the silence, the pauses, that is what makes it art. If you just clean endlessly without resting, the house becomes a tyrant, not a sanctuary.
That is a phenomenal synthesis of their point. The authors actually draw heavily on a biblical framework of dominion and stewardship to explain this.
Okay.
Now, regardless of your personal theological background, the psychological takeaway here is incredibly sound. Maintaining your home isn't about exhausting yourself to preserve a sterile, untouchable museum.
Right.
It is about creating a sustainable ecosystem that actively serves you. We see this holistic approach in their embrace of a natural Virginia environmental ethos as well, where they advocate for composting and native planting. It is all deeply connected. You care for the earth, you care for your home, and in return, your home cares for you.
So what does this all mean? We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today. We have learned that the physical state of our home is a silent, subconscious communicator to anyone who walks through our doors, starting from the native plants in the front yard to the clearance around the dining table.
A powerful communicator.
We have explored the neuroscience, showing that organization is not just about finding your keys. It is a mechanism to lower our cortisol and defend against decision fatigue. And we have realized that true hospitality towards the outside world actually begins with how we treat our own private sanctuaries, behind closed doors.
It is a complete paradigm shift. The environment we curate is the loudest voice in the room, constantly speaking to our nervous system.
And we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today as you look around your own space. If our physical environment is a direct, undeniable mirror of our internal emotional state, what does a permanently locked, messy junk drawer say about us?
Or a closet stuffed to the brim with things we never use.
Exactly. Things we haven't even looked at in years. What does that physical hoarding say about the emotional baggage we are actively refusing to process? We challenge you to view the act of clearing out just one drawer today, not as a household chore, but as an act of profound personal therapy. Think about what you are holding on to, and more importantly, think about what you might finally be ready to let go of.